When we think of world history, what comes to mind? The colossal pyramids of Egypt, the grand Colosseum of Rome, the philosophical cradle of Greece. These are the giants, the headliners of our shared past. But what if I told you that beneath these well-trodden historical landscapes lie the stories of other, equally brilliant civilizations? Civilizations that quietly, meticulously built the very foundations of our modern world, yet whose names are often whispered only in the footnotes of history books. Today, we going to pull back the curtain and shine a light on the unsung architects of our reality. Let's start our journey in the Indus Valley, in what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. Around 2500 BCE, here flourished a civilization so advanced it's almost baffling. Meet the Harappans, while the Egyptians were building pyramids to the heavens. The Harappans were focused on building the perfect city on Earth. Forget chaotic, winding streets. We're talking about meticulously planned cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, laid out in a precise grid system. This wasn't accidental. It was urban planning on a level that wouldn't be seen again for thousands of years. The houses were made of standardized, baked bricks, testament to their engineering prowess. But what's truly astonishing is what lay beneath their streets. The Harappans were masters of water management. Nearly every home had its own private well and, remarkably, a bathroom with a flushing toilet. These toilets were connected to an intricate, city-wide covered drainage system. This wasn't just a luxury. It was a public health marvel. They understood sanitation in a way that many European cities wouldn't grasp until the 19th century. Imagine a civilization from 4,500 years ago with better urban plumbing than medieval London. This system kept their cities clean and likely prevented the spread of disease, allowing their population to thrive. The Harappans were also incredible traders. Archaeologists have found their distinctive seal-small, carved stones used to mark goods as far away as Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. This proves they had a vast and sophisticated trade network, shipping goods like cotton, which they were one of the first to cultivate, across thousands of miles of land and sea. Yet, despite all this sophistication, much about them remains a mystery. We haven't deciphered their script, and we don't know the names of their kings or queens. They left behind no grand monuments to rulers, but instead the legacy of a well-organized, peaceful, and ingeniously practical society. They teach us that greatness isn't always measured in gold or grand statues, but in the quiet efficiency of a city that works for its people. Now, let's travel west to the rugged highlands of Anatolia, in modern-day Turkey. Around 1600 BCE, a new power is rising, one that will challenge the might of Egypt and redefine the art of war. These are the Hittites. If the Harappans were master builders, the Hittites were master innovators of power. Their greatest contribution, they were among the first civilizations to enter the Iron Age. While their neighbors were still fighting with softer, more brittle bronze weapons, the Hittites were smelting iron. This gave them a staggering military advantage. Iron swords were stronger, sharper, and cheaper to produce once the technology was mastered. Their dominance on the battlefield was so profound that they were able to build a massive empire that stretched across Anatolia and into Syria. But their genius wasn't just in warfare. The Hittites were also pioneering diplomats and lawmakers. They are famous for signing the Treaty of Kadesh with the Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II, the world's earliest surviving peace treaty. Instead of fighting to mutual destruction, two superpowers decided to lay down their arms and define their borders. It's a remarkable example of ancient diplomacy. Furthermore, their legal system was surprisingly humane for its time. Unlike the eye for an eye code of the Babylonians, Hittite law often favored restitution over retribution. If you stole something, you didn't lose your hand. You paid a fine to compensate the victim. This idea that the purpose of law is to restore balance rather than just punishes a cornerstone of many modern legal systems. The Hittites show us that true strength lies not just in conquering, but in knowing when to make peace and how to build a just society. Let's journey south now, down the Nile River, past the familiar lands of Egypt, into what is now Sudan. Here, a powerful and culturally rich empire flourished, a kingdom that was both a rival and an heir to its northern neighbor. Welcome to the Kingdom of Kush, often overshadowed by Egypt. The Kushite civilization was a formidable power in its own right for over 1,000 years. Its capital, Meru, was a bustling metropolis, famous for its iron industry. The land was so rich in ore and wood that Meru became one of the most important iron smelting centers in the ancient world. Great heaps of slag, the byproduct of smelting, still surround the ancient city, earning it the nickname the Birmingham of Africa. This industrial might fueled their economy and their military, allowing them to control vital trade routes linking Central Africa with the Mediterranean. But the Kushites weren't just industrialists. They had a vibrant and unique culture. While they were initially influenced by Egypt, they even conquered Egypt at one point. Ruling as its 25th dynasty of pharaohs, they developed their own distinct identity. They built their own style of pyramids, smaller, steeper, and more numerous than the Egyptian ones' tombs for their rulers. They worshipped their own gods alongside Egyptian deities and, crucially, they developed their own written language, Meroitic. While it's still largely undeciphered, it represents a proud declaration of their unique cultural identity. The Kingdom of Kush reminds us that Africa's ancient history is rich, diverse, and not just an extension of Egypt's story. It was a cradle of industry, power, and distinct culture that deserves its own place in the spotlight. Finally, let's sail into the Mediterranean Sea to the island of Crete around 2000 BC. Here, on this beautiful island, arose Europe's first advanced civilization, a society of artists, traders, and sailors. The Minoans, named after the mythical king Minos. The Minoans built sprawling palace complexes, the most most famous being the Palace of Gnosis. These weren't just royal residences, they were vibrant centers of administration, religion, and economy, featuring hundreds of rooms, advanced plumbing, and beautiful courtyards. What's most striking about the Minoans, however, is their art. Their frescoes depict a joyful and seemingly peaceful society. We see scenes of people leaping over bulls, elegant women in fashionable dresses, and stunning depictions of marine life dolphins, octopuses, and fish. Unlike the art of many other ancient civilizations, Minoan art is not dominated by scenes of war or conquest. In fact, their cities lacked defensive walls, suggesting they lived in relative peace, their security guaranteed not by armies, but by their powerful navy. The Minoans were master seafarers. Their location in the middle of the Mediterranean made them a natural hub for trade, and their ships connected Egypt, the Near East, and mainland Greece. They traded their exquisite pottery, olive oil, and wine, becoming a dominant maritime and commercial power. They pioneered a way of life built on trade and artistry rather than military might. The Minoans were the first great maritime power of the Mediterranean, laying the groundwork for the later Greek civilization and proving that prosperity can be built on commerce and culture. The Harappans, the Hittites, the Kushites, and the Minoans. Each of these civilizations, in their own way, laid a brick in the foundation of the world we live in today. From the urban planning and sanitation of the Indus Valley to the legal and diplomatic innovations of the Hittites, from the industrial power of Kush to the maritime trade network of the Minoans, their stories have been quieted by time, overshadowed by louder empires. But they remind us that history isn't just about the victors who wrote the stories. It's about the builders, the traders, the innovators, and the dreamers who shaped our world in silence. Their legacies are all around us, in the cities we live in, the laws we follow, and the networks that connect us. By remembering them, we get a richer, more complete picture of our own incredible human story. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden histories, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Until next time, stay curious.